Hey little cow, do you want to tell people yourself what an asshole you are, or shall I tell them? Okay, I'll tell them. I promise I'll make you look good. Good morning everyone and welcome to the weekly pet pairing. I am happy to see you again, although I'm gonna be honest with you, I've been lacking energy and inspiration to film anything whatsoever. I was even doubting if I want to film anything today. I'm taking my Auric Glow Lust as usual, by the way. Because if you remember, last week when we last saw each other, I mentioned that I was a little bit ill and recovering from a gastroenteritis virus, and I was just about to go to work for the first time that week. Guess what? I went to work, I made a full working day out of it, plus a student, and then I went to work again the next day. Even though I didn't really feel all that well before I went to work, I did. And then I stayed almost the whole day, and then I went home and it basically felt like I was reinfected with the virus and everything started all over again. But only this time, as a bonus, I also got like a bitch-ass sore throat. I've tested like 3 times since then, and to my utter disappointment, none of them were positive, okay? That is the point that we have reached right now. I am disappointed when my COVID test is negative because I'm just tired of the waiting game. Just like, let's get it over with. I'm taking my First Aid Beauty Bendy Avocado Concealer now. So on top of that, on top of feeling like shit, on Friday morning I woke up for my husband to inform me that Mona here hasn't come home again. As Lydia said, we should rename that cat from Mona to Houdini because she just like vanishes in thin air without a trace. So that's what she pulled off last week again, about a month after her previous disappearance. I told you the story a few weeks ago that she disappeared for a whole day, and then by like pure luck and serendipity I found out that she was stuck on a balcony in a neighboring building here, and for whatever reason she just, you know, panicked and decided to stay on that balcony, which was like a few floors up, the whole day and the whole night, even though she could have perfectly like come down the stairs. But okay, I forgave her, she probably freaked out. So I obviously freaked out again, and the first thing I thought is, oh, maybe she pulled off the same thing and she got stuck on that balcony again. I even went inside the building of the elderly people who live in that apartment block to see whether she by accident entered the building and couldn't find her way out. I looked on all the floors where they have balconies, because like, oops, like the individual balconies are not actually separated from each other, it's just like one long hallway, so I could like check on every floor whether she was hiding somewhere there. But she was not, because what the fuck are the odds that I'm going to have the same luck twice? So I'm taking, by the way, now my Estee Lauder Double Wear Nude Water Fresh makeup. And then I like searched around a little bit through the streets. I called her a couple of times. I took Lisa a couple of times with me, hoping that if she meows and Mona is somewhere around, locked in a shed, because that's a possibility as well. I did once lock her in our own shed. Well, didn't really lock her, but like she followed me and I didn't know that she followed me. And then an hour later I was like, where is Mona? And then I realized that the last time I saw her was when she was walking in my feet when I was outside getting something from the shed. So I went to open the door of the shed and she immediately came out of there. I checked there. I tried to listen, you know, in the backyards of my neighbors around, whether she's maybe locked in one of their sheds. Although it seems unlikely, because I don't think she's the type of cat that would interact with strangers. She's a bit too... what's the word? Schichtig. Why is the word only coming to me in Dutch again? She won't just go and interact with people. It took her like 3 fucking months to even open to us. We've cracked her. So I walked and walked and I searched for her and I searched for her, and again desperation settled in, because I was like, okay, I'm not going to have luck twice in less than a month. I was pretty realistic about I'm not going to have, you know, the same magical luck that I had last time finding her. So this time we are actually going to have to wait for her to establish contact with people, for them to realize that she's probably lost, call the Animal Protection Service for them to come, get her, scan her chip and find out where her home is. Or, you know, worse. But I didn't really want to believe that it's worse, because I don't really feel like she goes very far. I really thought she's somewhere around here, around the block, but I just couldn't really wrap my mind around where she could be and why she's not making like the teeniest noise to let me know where she is. I'm going to set my face now with this eeny meeny dim light hourglass ambient lighting powder. I have a little tester of this already for several years, and I was waiting to finish my big mood light in order to start on this one. And what do you know, it still took like 2 years for me to be able to finish mood light, so I'm only starting on this mini now in the year of 2022. So she did not come home. I waited all up until, you know, late in the evening. I went again around 11 before I went to bed to search for her. Unfortunately, no such luck. I went to bed thinking, that's it, you know, we're just going to have to wait now to hear from the Animal Protection Service, because I cannot imagine where she could possibly be, and I'm out of options to search for her, and I can't just, you know, trespass into people's backyards and search for her. Today I'm going to take my Chanel Soleil 10 de Chanel bronzer, and then around 5 in the morning my husband woke me up to show me that she was curled up in his feet. She just magically manifested from somewhere, like casually came back, laid in his feet, and I think both of us felt the biggest relief ever. Like, we relived what happened a month ago, when I told you that finding her a month ago would be the highlight of my year. Now I have two highlights in my year. The first time when I found her on that fucking balcony, and the second time when she just magically reappeared in our bedroom. I'm telling you, that cat is going to shorten my life by at least a decade. Those cats are going to be my undoing. Anyway, so she reappeared, and of course, the mama that I am, I immediately thought she hasn't eaten for over 24 hours, so I immediately ran down in the middle of the night, I think it was like 4:30 or 5 in the morning, to feed her, and she happily followed me. She ate. She was, of course, very attached, because I think she had been through shit. And I didn't really notice much more than that. And then in the morning I woke up and I went to feed both her and Lisa again, and I noticed that she was limping a little bit. And it was already Saturday. We immediately called the emergency vet and asked for advice, and they were like, okay, does it seem like she's, you know, putting any weight on that paw, or can you even tell which paw it is? And I was like, you know, I can't even for sure tell you which paw it is. I think it's maybe one of the front paws, but I can't be sure. And she's putting her weight on all 4 of them, and she was able to come home, which means that she was able to jump through the fence. Also, she was like cheerful. Well, cheerful, how can you tell that a cat is cheerful? She wasn't really like retrieved, and it didn't seem like she was in pain. So the vet advised us to basically wait it out a little bit and to bring her in on Monday to our regular vet if we notice that she isn't really using her paw. For blush today, I'm going to take the beautiful Paradise Venus from McGrath Labs. I really love wearing these blushes, you guys. It's really just the sheer truth. I enjoy wearing them. They last on my face the whole day, and I just cannot put them down. Anyway, so after we noticed the paw, we also like took a closer look at her snout, and she has a little scar right here underneath her eye and a couple of like nail scratches right here. So we figured that she's been in a fight with another cat. And that's probably, you know, the reason that she was away. She was either waiting for the cat to go away, or she got hurt and scared and she didn't want to move, because she has that tendency, apparently, that when she panics, she just like freezes and doesn't know what to do for a good amount of hours. So maybe that's what happened to her. We shall never know. We shall never know. If only cats could talk, the stories they would tell us. Anyway, we are again extremely grateful that Missy found her way home, and she's with us again, and she seems super happy and super attached, and she's not been going on long outside adventures since then. She wasn't even going out for like the first day or two. She started using her inside toilet again instead of going outside, which she had been doing already for quite a few weeks. So that's how traumatized she was. At one point it really seemed like I should find her a cat ring to talk about her PTSD. Anyway, so she's back home. We are super relieved. That fucking virus just won't leave me the fuck alone, because it's been 10 days now and I still don't feel like I have recovered. I still have like a little knot in my stomach, And on top of that, you know, I developed, like I said, a bitching sore throat, which is finally, it's like 10% better every day, but it's not like I'm making a leap in feeling better. It's like taking for fucking ever to get better. I haven't like been this sick in a really long time. So this was like a really proper like gastroenteritis flu type of virus. I don't fucking know what kind of plague Nicola brought home, but it really kicked our asses. And by our asses, I really mean not just me, but my husband as well. And if he got affected by that virus the way he did, that says enough, because he usually doesn't get super sick from whatever Nicola brings home. For my highlighter today, I'm going to take again my beloved Skin Fetish Trio and do the usual, just mix all the 3 shades. So that's been a little bit my adventurous, not so pleasant, you know, week with being sick and mono disappearing again. But there was one highlight on Saturday. I finally went out to the city center for the first time in like, how many months it's been? Maybe the last time I went out was like the beginning of November or something. It was a really long time ago. And not only did I go out to the city center, but I also went to the cinema. We had to go during the day though, because during the evening, like restaurants, cafes, everything basically has to close at 10. We are still, you know, slowly opening up here after our latest lockdown. And the it's like really difficult to coordinate dinner and a movie if the movies close at 10. I cannot have dinner at 5 in the afternoon. That's not a dinner, that's an afternoon snack. Sorry, Dutch people. Plus, the movie that we wanted to see was basically only playing at like noon, so we didn't really have an option, an evening option anyway. Now, before I continue to tell you that story though, let me tell you what we're doing for an eye look today. I'm going to be grabbing a variety of different palettes, as you've already seen in the thumbnail, and the first one I'm going to take is my Bronze Seduction palette, the Mothership 5. And the first thing I'm going to do is take a nice fluffy blending brush and go into this shade here, which is the lighter brown. I don't know the name of that shade, but it's a really beautiful mid-tone brown, which on my skin tone can pull quite deep, so I really need to make sure to take my time to blend it out. Anyway, so on Saturday, like I said, I went to catch a movie in the cinema, and the first movie that I watched since the summer, and ironically they're both musicals. So in the last movie I watched in the summer was in July, when I watched In the Heights, which is a musical that was, you know, made into a movie, and it's a musical by Lin-Manuel Miranda, and Lin-Manuel Miranda is a fucking genius. And the movie that I saw past Saturday was another Broadway musical turned movie. It was a classic in the 60s, and it remains a classic to this day, and probably you have noticed and probably you have guessed by now that I'm talking about West Side Story, the new iteration by Steven Spielberg. When I first heard that Steven Spielberg, of all people, was going to redo West Side Story, I was almost a little bit skeptical, because I thought, what does Steven Spielberg have to do with musicals, of all people? Like, if Lin-Manuel was redoing West Side Story, I'd be like, sure, that makes sense, but like Steven Spielberg, it made no sense at all. Since then, I've read up a little bit on his motivation, and apparently when he was a little boy, he watched or he heard the music of West Side Story, and he fell in love with it, and he always thought that someday he would like to make his own version of it. And let me tell you, it was absolutely amazing. He smashed it. You can tell that he's a fabulous filmmaker, and this movie just proved that he has so much range, because he took something that he might have butchered because it was just like a pet project of his, but he didn't butcher it. He actually elevated it to a whole new level. He made it his own, he modernized it, and it was amazing in every single way. I loved it. The casting was great. If you don't know, the newest Maria is actually a YouTube turned movie star, Rachel Zegler. She's very, very young. When she was cast to play Maria, she was only, I think, 17 years old or something, 16 or 17 years old. And she basically had like a YouTube channel where she would post herself singing. And then she was one of 30,000 applicants who was cast. And she impressed Steven Spielberg, I think, who listened to like her music on her YouTube channel and was very impressed with her singing voice. And I can tell you, not only was her singing voice amazing, but she's also you know, she seems to have a lot of potential as an actress, because for someone so young to give the character of Maria all the different nuances and, you know, the emotion, everything that needed to be in a Maria, she portrayed very truthfully at such a young age. I was very impressed by her. And the guy who plays Tony is a far more known actor. It's Ansel Elgort, whom you have already seen in movies like Baby Driver and the Divergent series and The Fault in Our Stars. So he's been around for a while. He's a much better known face compared to pretty much everyone else in the movie. The woman who plays Anita. I'm now talking to you as if you know West Side Story really, really well and like the characters and everything. I'm sorry if you don't, this might be really boring for you. But let me tell you what we're going to do next before I continue rambling. I'm going to take a brush like this, which is not really a pencil brush, but more of like a crease type of blending brush. I'm going to go into this beautiful deep aubergine purple here, also from the Bronze Seduction palette. If you haven't seen the musical or heard the movies and you have now no idea what I'm talking about, I'm really, really sorry, then hopefully we'll just stay for the makeup. The actress who plays Anita was just nominated for an Oscar in a supporting role yesterday. Her name is Ariana DeBose. American people like to say Ariana DeBose, but I don't feel like that's how you would pronounce her last name. She was incredible as Anita. She really made Anita her own, even with the presence of Rita Moreno on the movie set, because Rita Moreno actually had a role. They created specifically a role for her in this new version of West Side Story. And for those of you who may not know, Rita Moreno played the original Anita in the 1961 movie, and she won an Oscar for it as well. And she was on the set of this new movie, like I said, she had a role in it, and you know what? She's fucking 90 years old. First of all, I would never have guessed that she's 90 years old, and second of all, I would never have guessed that someone who's 90 years old can participate so wholly in a movie, which probably is a very demanding job. Also, I'm very impressed to say Steven Spielberg himself is, I think, over 70 years old. My parents are over 70 years old, and I don't know whether they have the energy to be on a movie set and create a full-on Hollywood production. By the way, now I'm going to just use my finger to apply the tiniest bit of the aubergine shade here in my lash line, because these sort of brushes tend to not apply shades very well here, very close to the lashes. So I'm just going to use my finger for that, why the fuck not? The rest of the cast was not really well known because most of them are actual Broadway actors, something that I feel like was a bit of a missed opportunity on the side of the Academy, is nominating the dude who played Riff, because I think he deserved a nomination for a supporting role for his depiction of Riff. He was amazing. The actor who plays him is incredible. He is charismatic, he has so much presence, and honestly I can't wait to see him in like a leading role. He had actually auditioned for the role of Tony, but was eventually given the role of Riff, and he just did an incredible job with it. As far as the music and the dancing, everything we know and love about West Side Story is there. Some themes have been, some songs were switched around in terms of order, some of the lyrics were, I think, changed, not too much. I think one thing that I am still undecided how I feel about in the new version is in the 1961 version and the Broadway version of West Side Story, there is a song called Somewhere, which is one of the most like emotionally charged songs in the whole musical, and it is sung by Tony and Maria. In this new version though, it is sung by Rita Moreno, and even though I felt like it was a pretty perfect match and I really enjoyed her performance and it still had a lot of emotional charge and value to it, a part of me really missed having a version of Somewhere sung by Tony and Maria. And I'm going to grab Pixie Epoxy and I'm going to apply that all over my lid and a little bit over that deep purple. So I'm going to pop that right here and take it out towards the purple. Have any of you seen West Side Story? Are any of you actually Broadway musical nerds? Fun fact that you may not know about me, I love Broadway musicals. And it's not something that I have a lot of, you know, history with, because I just discovered it, you know, in my recent history of life. By the way, let's now jump into the Dark Star palette and I would like to revisit this beautiful shade here, which I believe is called Odyssey, and it's the most gorgeous, like taupey bronzy purple. Such a complex and beautiful shade, and I'm going to pop that all over my lid. So if any of you are fellow Broadway musical nerds, if any of you are just, you know, casual cinema goers, did you manage to see West Side Story? What did you think about it? I feel like Spielberg did a pretty neat job in remaking West Side Story and, you know, giving it a modern feel. I really loved it. I cannot wait to be able to watch it again. I really hope that after the theatrical release is done, which will hopefully be soon, because it doesn't seem like the movie is doing all too well in theaters, which is also to be expected because COVID and more people are probably more excited to see Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm still very excited to see that as well, but if you have these two together, I feel like more people would be likely to go see No Way Home rather than West Side Story. So the movie isn't doing all that well in its theatrical release, so I really hope he's going to put it up on a platform, one of the streaming services soon, so that I can watch it and rewatch it. And I'm definitely now going to revisit the original 1961 movie, because now I really want to be able to compare a bit more the differences between the two and what I like about one, what I like about the other. But either way, I'm very curious to hear your opinions, and if you would ever be curious about that, I can always ramble about my favorite Broadway musicals in another video, because I can ramble about a lot, and there are a lot that I can comment on. Anyway, now I'm going to go into the Metalmorphosis palette, or if you have your Decadence palette or your Star Wars C-3PO palette, you can find that shade in all three of these palettes. And I'm going to go into the shade Gold Standard and apply that in my inner corner to meet up with the purple shade, because I think purple and gold are such a beautiful combination. And I think I did something relatively similar recently with the C-3PO palette and this specific palette as well, but I just wanted to give a bit more space to Odyssey to shine this time. Oh, I really like how this is turning out. So as a little layering fun bit, I'm going to go back into the Bronze Seduction palette and take this beautiful astral shade over here, which has this gorgeous gold green sparkle to it, which I feel like would really fit the rest of the look. And I'm going to try to apply a tiny bit of that without overtaking too much Odyssey. I'm going to just layer that over top of Odyssey and also a little bit over top of even Gold Standard. Just like that, using my finger. Also, if you are a fan of West Side Story, which is your favorite musical number? I have quite a few. I can't decide which one my favorite is, but I'm leaning a little bit towards America because it has so much humor in it, and I love the lyrics, and the bouncing off between the characters is just so hilarious. And I really love that number. Obviously, Somewhere is a beautiful song. It's just applicable to many different situations. It strikes such an emotional chord for so many different, you know, on so many different layers, and I really love that song. What else? Oh, G something Kripke. G Officer Kripke is another one that I think is really good. I'm going to go back into the Bronze Seduction palette now, by the way, and I'm just going to take that deep purple and reapply that here on the very outer edge of my lower lashes. It was just so incredible not only to be able to be out of the house, but also for something so fun as West Side Story. Now, before I do a little bit of blending, I'm actually going to go back into the Metalmorphosis palette, and I'm going to take this bronzy shade, which matches my dress really well, just, you know, to have a little bit of a matchy element between my clothing and my makeup. And I'm now going to take my huge blending brush and just give everything a nice last blend. Okay, y'all, this is the finished look for lipstick. I chose Affair from Lisa Eldridge because I think it is kind of like the perfect shade match for my dress today, and I really wanted to have a little bit of gold sparkle on my lips, and I figured Pat McGrath Gold Allure would be the perfect finishing touch for this whole look. I'll be honest with you, this is the first look in like at least a week that I have really enjoyed creating and I felt inspired to do, and I'm really happy with the final result, because I don't know about you, but when I don't feel well, I do want to do makeup, but I feel so uninspired and I feel like I'm never satisfied with the end result. So I just kind of always fall back onto looks that I know are familiar and I know that I'm not going to be disappointed doing. As usual, thank you so much for watching and listening to all of my ramblings. Don't forget to let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm so happy to see you again. Hopefully we will see each other again soon. And that's pretty much going to be all for me today. See you next time. Bye!